Celtics finally do it. You know, they finally take advantage of all their talent. They finally do what they're quote unquote supposed to do in the postseason and have a great team in the regular season, have a team that's supposed to be good in the postseason, and they finally take care of business. They win in 5 games. They quote unquote, the game, people talking about the previous game was rigged and they wanted to win in Boston, all this other stuff. My mic's not working, is it? Oh, my mic is working. I'm not editing this out. I don't care. I'm not giving you a fancy mix. I'm not doing OD work on the thumbnail. I'm just putting this video out there, so it's like I'll put a video out there. But no, it is what it is. I'm about to start watching WNBA. But yeah, Jaylen Brown wins Finals MVP. And did I say this in the video? I don't remember if I said the video, but yeah, he probably should have won it. Even though Tatum definitely was playing great defense, and he had like the more other ancillary stats, like slightly more assists and rebounds, but and he had like I think he averaged like 21, or he averaged like 2 more points on disgusting efficiency, even though he had 2 good games back to back. Back to back? No, he had 2 good games, 31 and 31. But off like shooting, in terms of shooting the ball, he was bad most of the series. So, but obviously he was doing the other stuff that led them to win the title. But I don't think any of the Celtics, like I saw somebody comment and say was talking about, oh, now Celtics fans are gonna fight over who should have won Finals MVP. They do not care. I promise, they do not care about none of that. And to be honest, I don't really care either. And I'm not about to debate that because I don't really think it matters. The Finals MVP is the front office, bruh. Front office. And shout out Joe Mazzulla, the youngest coach. I looked at this thing on what's my email. Hold on, I got an email from the NBA about the game. It says Mazzulla, youngest coach since 1970 to win NBA title. Boston's coach, who took the franchise to its 18th title, won an NBA championship at 35 years and 353 days, set a new record. Congratulations to him. You know, second year coach. He really did his thing and showed, yeah, you don't necessarily need a coach that coached for 100,000 years. You don't need some of these veteran coaches who are just bad and keep circulating throughout the NBA, even though they're not good. Cough, cough, Doc Rivers, cough. But anyway, yeah, I guess congratulations to the Celtics. And, you know, they're going to be off Tatum's back finally. He's not going to be overrated or underrated. You know, I'm not even going to get to slander. Let me try to talk about this championship team without slandering it for as long as I possibly can, which is hard. It's very hard for me. It's very difficult. You should appreciate this. So they showed a new championship formula. You know, you get them, well, not really new, because obviously, you know, the 3-point shooting wasn't really new. It was already a thing, but like just getting a bunch of lanky 3-point shooters, you know, having no one you can cheat off of really, because literally there was no point in the game in which you could cheat off anybody, no matter who it was. Ironically, like even the worst shooter on the court at times was the best player on the court, Jayson Tatum. So you really got to think about that. Like, when you can't cheat off anybody, that's how you win games. When you look at especially how they were beating the Mavericks, they had open 3-point shots. They were just making Josh Green and Derrick Jones Jr. shoot them, and they missed them. It's a make or miss league. Well, not Josh Green. Josh Green was actually one of the few offensive sparks in the offense in this specific game, and he had a good hustle energy. But they say defense wins championships, and it's really more nuanced than that. That's just like a funny haha tagline, because if you have a great you can have a great offense in the regular season, but you have to have a great half-court offense in order to succeed in the postseason. That's what you really need. You don't just need defense, because the Mavs had good defense. The Mavs were literally one of the best defensive teams in the league after the trade deadline, and one of the best defensive teams in the playoffs. But when your offense is lacking, your offense is lacking, bro. Like, when it comes down to 2 teams with good defense, the offense, you know, you can't have a stagnant offense. You got to have a stable, consistent half-court offense. And that's exactly why the Celtics got this far. That's why they beat the Mavericks. And that's also part of the reason why the Pacers gave them such a hard time, was because not only did they have a good half-court offense, but they also had a great transition offense. And yeah, as soon as they got out of the break, they were gone. And the Celtics are best when the defense is set. So that's why the Pacers gave them the biggest challenge. Even though the other teams took more games, they had higher point differentials. So the Pacers games were closer. But yeah, you really need a consistent offense that doesn't rely to have. It's not even about how the Mavs relied on Luka. It was really just about how no one was able to make a shot. Literally nobody was able to consistently make a shot, bro, in the finals compared to the other series. And this man, Jason Kidd, was still playing. Maxi Kleber, he was out there doing nothing. Even when on possessions where he would play good defense, they would still score him. So I'm like, why are you playing him? He's not the same guy he was in the Clippers series at this point in time. Stop playing. But that's besides the point. yeah, the Celtics are a really good NBA team, and I had them losing the conference finals by predictions because I didn't want them to win, but realistically, I knew they obviously get a great chance to be in the finals, and there was no way I could have known that. Well, actually, I did not look up the fact that Giannis didn't play before the playoffs, but like, there was no way I could have known that. Okay, Dame and Chris Middleton are both going to get injured. Tyrese Halliburton's going to get injured. What was the other team? The Jared Allen and Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are all going to get injured. Like, it was just, hey. And then Luka was going to get injured too, and it was like, okay, you know, not only Luka's injury, but also like, what happened. But that was already the finals at that point. But either way, you know, like I said in my previous video, it don't matter what you come up against as a team. They did what they were supposed to do. They fought who they were supposed to fight. They faced who was in front of them and they won, as opposed to a lot of teams who will just lose. They'll be favored and they'll lose. Like, again, I point towards LeBronto. Because the Toronto Raptors is like the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, kept losing to LeBron because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. You have a lot of teams that don't do what they're supposed to do. The Celtics past included. And now you look at some winning players, some winning championship players. Now, let's talk about Jayson Tatum. You know, I don't really care about the finals MVP, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. The only thing I have to say about Jayson Tatum is that whatever spot in the ranking, or I don't know, whatever opinion you had of him as a player prior to the playoffs should not have really changed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's not to say that he didn't improve as a player. That's not to say that he didn't have great moments in the playoffs, like that he literally just dropped 30 in the last game. But you look at his performance in the playoffs, statistically and on the court, and you also compare it to previous years. I feel like you should, like, he's improved as a defender, he's improved as a playmaker, right? You know, which obviously makes him a better offensive player because he's a better playmaker, right? But whatever area you had him prior to this, even prior to this season, honestly, he shouldn't be that much higher. Like, he's a better player than last season, but he's not, like, wherever realistically. I know he's talking about oh, he's the best player in the world. Oh, if you win the chip, you're the best player in the world, blah, 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 blah. Whatever position you had him at prior to the playoffs, it should be the same position. Like, most people already had him as like a top 10 player, top 6, 7 player, really, or yeah, like top 7-ish, 7-6 player in the league. Whatever position you had him at, he should be at the same position. Maybe you rate Jaylen Brown a little bit higher, but like, realistically, you feel me? The only player you should really be looking at is, oh yeah, he's really that guy now, is like Derek White, who kept improving every season, like even more and more, right? Like when you look at Tatum, yes, he's a great player, but whatever you had him at, like, oh, if you had him, but I think most people had him around, well, it really depends. It's a lot of fluctuation. I think the only people who don't really fluctuate in that ranking or whatever is Giannis, Jokic, Luka are pretty much consensus top 3. And then after that, it's like, okay, you have Curry, you have Embiid, you have Shea, you have LeBron/AD. Some people were trying to put Anthony Edwards in there. Some people were trying to put, I feel like I'm forgetting a player. But yeah, that's basically the ranking. Whatever position you had Tatum in, you know, a lot of people had like the Shea Tatum stuff or whatever. I think a lot of people had, if you had Tatum over Shea before, obviously if you had Tatum over Shea, you're gonna keep Shea over Tatum. If you had Shea above Tatum before the playoffs started, I ain't gonna lie, you keep that nigga there. Let me stop. I ain't gonna lie, you keep him there, bruh. You keep him there. You keep him there. Like, this doesn't move me up. Oh my gosh, he's better than X, Y, and Z player. But if you already thought he was better, obviously you're gonna think he's better. If you had him above Embiid, which I feel like most people were like, okay, Embiid's just a better player in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, Tatum's a better player, and he's just had better performances because Embiid's always injured. Even though this year Embiid low-key went crazy in the playoffs, but again, he was still injured. That's why they lost in the first round. So again, if you had Tatum above Embiid, you should have him above Embiid. If you had Tatum below Embiid prior to the playoffs, like, and not in terms of legacy, because obviously he's been above Embiid in terms of legacy, no cap, obviously. But in terms of like, oh, player for player, who you want on the court, assuming they're healthy. If you had Embiid above Tatum prior to the playoffs, there's no real reason why you should have him below Tatum now. Like, oh my gosh, he has a championship now, therefore he's better than him as a player. Like, You know what I mean? But that's not to take away from who he is as a player, because obviously he's a great player. He stepped up when they needed him most. He poured in the points, you know. But when you just look at when you look at the totality of his performance as an individual, because obviously he's a great component of a great team, and the team wouldn't be what it is without him. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And now we get to the Mavericks. I already talked about, I feel like I talked about everything. Like, yeah, no, let me talk about, we got Luka and Kyrie. This formula could definitely just be improved upon, and it should be improved upon the offseason. You know, you got to make some trades. You know what you have in this team. You know the pieces that need to be moved. I would say, get rid of Maxi Kleber. I've seen enough. Get rid of him. I'm not gonna lie. I like Derrick Jones Jr. I like PJ Washington. I like Josh Green. I'm very kind of expendable. Like, okay, I would say you have a lot of expendable players. You have some players that did some. I will keep Dante Exum, keep Jaden Hardy, keep obviously Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, obviously. Or am I saying he's a rookie? But them end of the rotation players, you know, you gotta make something shake with them, bro. Like, hopefully that guy, whatever, Mr. Prosper or whatever, he can get better. He's a young player, he can get better. But you talk about the Dwight Powells, those people, they gotta go. Tim Hardaway Jr., get him off the team. Get him out of here, dog. He could be a regular season player, but in terms of the playoffs, no. But anyway, yeah, congratulations to the Celtics.
Thank you. Bye-bye.